Today I'm going to take up Othello, the Moor of Venice, written by William Shakespeare. So, before I start, I would like to tell you something about the play itself. So, Othello, the Moor of Venice is a tragedy in 5 acts by William Shakespeare and was written in 1603 or 4 and published in 1622 in a quarto edition. The text published in the first folio of 1623 seems to have been based on a version revised by Shakespeare himself that sticks close to the original. Now, this is based on a story called Un Capitano Moro, that is, a Moorish captain, by Cinthio, who was a disciple of Boccaccio in 1565, and Shakespeare was most probably inspired by this particular story. Now, let's look at this hero, Othello. Othello is the play's protagonist and hero. A Christian Moor and general of the army of Venice, Othello is an eloquent and physically powerful figure respected by all those around him. In spite of his status, he is affected by insecurities because of his age, his life as a soldier, and his race. He possesses a free and open nature, which his ensign Iago uses to twist his love for his wife Desdemona into a powerful and destructive jealousy. Now, if we look at the appearance of Othello, there are certain things we have been told about him in the play, like he is called the Moor, and Moor, remember, is a native of North Africa. So we can understand about his looks. He has thick lips. He is referred to as an old black ram. He is referred to as a Barbary horse. Now, by nature, he is romantic and a heroic warrior with a frank and honest nature. One physical problem which we come to know about him was that Othello had epilepsy. And we meet Othello first at the beginning of the second scene. Certain adjectives we can use for Othello, like brave, he was confident, he was smart, he was physically strong, but then he was suffering from insecurity. Why? Because he was living in a land that was not his, basically. The play sheds light on Othello's status as an outsider. Why? Because he, as I told, was a native of Africa, South Africa, and he was living in this place which was Venice. Othello's victimization at the hands of a foreign culture and his own willingness to torment himself makes him a tragic figure rather than Iago's puppet, which he seems to be for the most part when we find Iago playing so much upon him. But actually, the fact is that he himself is ready to torment himself with all his insecurities. We've been talking about hamartia, the fatal flaw, and if we look at Othello's hamartia, basically it was credulity. He so easily believed whatever Iago was telling him. And secondly, his hamartia was his insecurity about the place he lived in because it was not his, insecurity about the people around him because they were not his. He had his insecurities about so many things all around him. Now, let's have a look basically at the characters who are in this play. So first of all, let's look at the heroine of the play, who is Desdemona. So Desdemona was the daughter of Brabantio, and he was a Venetian senator. Desdemona and Othello are secretly married before the play begins. While pure and meek by nature, Desdemona is also determined and self-possessed. She is equally capable of defending her marriage, jesting with Iago, and responding with dignity to Othello's jealousy. Whatever he tells her about her relation with Cassio, she is able to defend herself. Next, we have Iago, who is the villain of the play, and this fellow is actually Othello's ensign. Ensign actually is the work, a small job that is known also as an ancient or a standard bearer. He was supposed to just carry the symbol of the army that was moving, and he is the villain of the play, while his justification for desiring Othello's demise is that he has been passed over for promotion to a lieutenant. Iago's motivations are never very clearly expressed. He seems to take delight in manipulation and destruction, and that is why we find him to be all the more dangerous. Next, you have Michael Cassio, who is a good friend of Othello, and he's Othello's lieutenant. Cassio is a young and inexperienced soldier whose high position is much resented by Iago. He is devoted to Othello. Cassio is extremely ashamed after being implicated in a drunken brawl in Cyprus and losing his place as lieutenant. Iago uses Cassio's youth, good looks, and friendship with Desdemona to play on Othello's insecurities about Desdemona's fidelity. We have Emilia, who is the wife of Iago, and she is the maid of Desdemona, and she is a very cynical, worldly woman. She is deeply attached to her mistress and distrustful of her husband Iago. My other minor characters include Rodrigo, who is basically a jealous suitor of Desdemona. He very much wanted to get married to Desdemona, cannot manage, and that is why he joins hands with Iago, and he tries everything to do things to get Desdemona for himself, but eventually is killed in the end. Bianca is a courtesan or a prostitute in Cyprus. Bianca's favorite customer is Cassio, who teases her with promises of marriage. Next, we have Brabantio, who was Desdemona's father and a Venetian senator. He is a friend of Othello, and he feels betrayed when the general marries his daughter secretly. There's the Duke of Venice, who has great respect for Othello. We have Montano, who is the governor of Cyprus before Othello, and he is a person actually who gets injured by Cassio during the drunken brawl, because of which he loses his job. Cassio loses his job. Lodovico is Brabantio's kinsman. He acts as a messenger from Venice to Cyprus. Next, we have Gratiano, who is Brabantio's kinsman, who accompanies Lodovico to Cyprus. Amidst the chaos of the final scene, Gratiano mentions that Desdemona's father has died. There's the clown, who is Othello's servant. Although the clown appears only in 2 short scenes, his appearances reflect and distort the action and words of the main plots. His puns on the word lie in Act 3, Scene 4, for example, anticipate Othello's confusion of 2 meanings of that word in Act 4, Scene 1. So we already have discussed all the minor characters. Now first let me in brief tell about the plot. Basically, the plot revolves around Othello, where we have Othello who loves his wife Desdemona, but at the same time he is also jealous of her. He has his not exactly jealous of her, but basically he is very possessive about her. And there are instances when we see Iago trying to incite Othello against Desdemona. When Cassio comes and holds her hand and wishes her, he secretly points out to Othello that that was a very friendly, over-friendly way of wishing. And next, further on in the play, we have several instances where we find that Cassio, when, as I said earlier, when Cassio loses his job, he comes and appeals to Desdemona to talk to Othello on his behalf, and when Othello comes to that place, he quietly moves away without talking to him. So Iago again incites him that that was very strange behavior, which Cassio said that he did not talk to Othello, while at the same time he was talking to Desdemona. Later on, when we find a scene where Othello already is so worked up, he's having a he's not feeling well, and Desdemona offers him her handkerchief. That handkerchief plays a very important role. We find that handkerchief was the first gift that Othello had given to Desdemona, and she offers that handkerchief to tie around his head, and he just lets that handkerchief drop because he doesn't want it. And then they leave that scene, and at that point we have Emilia coming into that room and picking up the handkerchief and telling the audience that Iago had been asking for that handkerchief for a long time, and she goes and gives it to Iago. And it is from there that the scene becomes even worse, when Iago goes and plants that handkerchief in the room of Cassio, and when Othello wants a physical evidence to prove that his wife was actually unfaithful to him, Iago takes him to Cassio's room and shows him that particular handkerchief. And so Othello believes that actually Desdemona is unfaithful to him. And later on, there's one more evidence that Iago provides. He talks to Cassio about Bianca, about his relationship with Bianca, and he asks Othello to stay at some distance, because of which he is not able to clearly understand that it was Bianca about whom Cassio was talking and not about Desdemona. and he believes that whatever lewd remarks that Cassio is making, he thinks it is about Desdemona. So he fully trusts that his wife is not true to him, and he comes to the conclusion that she needs to be killed, and he goes and smothers her. And before dying, Desdemona tells Emilia that it is not that Othello has killed her, she has committed suicide, and she dies. And then Emilia, she makes clear all the things that no, it was actually she who had picked up the handkerchief given to Iago. Iago had planted it in Cassio's house, and this Rodrigo was told by Iago to go and try and kill Cassio to get the position of a general, which he was being given. Cassio, actually there was a letter which came before this scene when Cassio is told to stay back in Cyprus, and Othello and everyone was to return. So he was being given the title of a general there at Cyprus, who Cassio I'm talking about. So he says, Iago tells Rodrigo, you go and kill Cassio so that you can get that post. So he goes and tries to stab him, but Cassio gets injured, stabs Rodrigo in place. Rodrigo does not get killed, but later on, for fear of Rodrigo exposing him to everybody, Iago himself goes ahead and kills Rodrigo. So towards the end, in the last scene, when the final scene when Othello has killed Desdemona, Emilia makes all these things clear, Iago comes and kills his own wife. Why? Because she had exposed him. When Othello tries to stab Iago, he is forcefully put down, his instruments are taken away, his weapons are taken away from him, and he is taken away to Venice to be tried by law. Othello kills himself. So in the end, what we find is so many people have died. Iago kills Emilia, Othello kills Desdemona, Othello wounds Iago, Othello kills himself, Iago is taken to Venice, and you have Rodrigo being killed by none other than Iago himself. So many things are happening all the while, and in the beginning we are told that the scene starts in Venice, but then it continues in Cyprus. Why? Because Cyprus was the place where these people had gone. They had been sent, Othello was sent because there was a Turkish invasion of Cyprus. So they go to Cyprus, and there the whole play takes place, where all these things happen, and finally the play comes to its end. Now if you look at the themes that Shakespeare has tried to deal in it, there's a theme of isolation. First of all, the action of Othello moves from the metropolis of Venice to the island of Cyprus. Protected by military fortifications as well as by forces of nature, Cyprus faces little threat from external forces. Once Othello, Iago, Desdemona, Emilia, Rodrigo have come to Cyprus, they have nothing to do but prey upon one another. Isolation enables many of the play's most important effects. Iago frequently speaks in soliloquies. Othello stands apart while Iago talks with Cassio in Act 4, Scene 1, and is left alone on stage with the bodies of Emilia and Desdemona for a few moments in Act 5, Scene 2. Rodrigo seems attached to no one in the play except Iago, and most prominently, Othello is visibly isolated from the other characters by his physical stature and the color of his skin. Iago is an expert at manipulating the distance between characters. At the same time, Iago, of necessity always standing apart, falls prey to his own obsession with revenge. Characters cannot be islands, the play seems to say. Self-isolation as an act of self-preservation leads ultimately to self-destruction. Such self-isolation leads to the death of Rodrigo, Iago, Othello, and even Emilia, we can say. Next we find, the next theme is the incompatibility of military heroism and love. Othello predicates his success in love on his success as a soldier, wooing Desdemona with tales of his military travels and battles. Once the Turks are drowned by natural rather than military might, Othello is left without anything to do. The last act of military administration we see him performing is the view of fortifications in the extremely short second scene of Act 3. No longer having a means of proving his manhood or honor in a public setting, such as the court or the battlefield, Othello begins to feel uneasy with his footing in a private setting, the bedroom. Iago uses this uneasiness. Next theme is jealousy. Jealousy motivates the central conflict of Othello. Iago's resentment of Othello, Othello's suspicion of Desdemona. Iago is immediately revealed as a jealous character. In the first scene, he complains that Cassio has been promoted instead of him, even though he says, I am worth no worse a place. He also later implies that his hatred of Othello is rooted in jealousy, since there are rumors of Othello having relations with Emilia also. Now, it seems that his jealousy is so intense that he does not need proof of this infidelity before punishing Othello for it. Appropriately, Iago decides to seek revenge by using jealousy as a weapon against Othello. Iago knows, perhaps from his own experience, that jealousy is a form of psychological torture which will constantly torment Othello. By making Othello feel the torments of jealousy towards Desdemona and her supposed lover, Iago causes Othello to suffer as much as he himself does. Now, we saw at the end of the play the number of deaths that have taken place. There's Desdemona killed, Emilia killed, Othello stabbing himself, Rodrigo killed, Othello stabbing himself, yes, and Rodrigo is killed by Iago. So many deaths take place, and that is so very typical of a Shakespearean tragedy. Now, if you've got any questions related to Othello, you may put it in the segment below, and I shall try my best to answer them. Thank you.